I think AI will have a profound effect on every industry, but particularly the financial industry. I think to get a sense of what the impact could be near term, you just have to look at what wealthy, high net worth individuals have access to. Right now, if you're a high net worth individual, you basically have a team of experts that are at your disposal to help you with all of your financial needs. So estate planning, will and trust, retirement, financial advisory, budgeting. You get the best that the world has to offer in financial advice. I think one thing that AI will do is both lower the cost of that and also make it accessible to pretty much everyone. It'll lower the cost of that to close to the cost of software, and in doing so, make it available to the mass market. One really big example of something that is not accessible to the mass market, or if it is, it's at a cost-prohibitive price point, is multi-generational estate planning. Just thinking through what's going to happen to your finances upon retirement, or how it's handed down to your children. This is something that right now you have to talk to a team of experts, lawyers, advisors, and so most people just don't really do it, and it ends up getting into a very complex process when you're very old, very late in life. I think if you look back 30 years ago, it was actually very difficult to become an entrepreneur. You had to do many things that were highly specialized and that would have required lots of capital and lots of specialized talent. I mean, people were managing data center servers, right? You had to build the expertise to do that. You had to hire specialized roles in accounting, in finance, specialized legal counsel. And over time, I think the story of entrepreneurship is more and more of these things have been turned into software as a service offerings. So instead of managing your own servers, you now have things like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure. I think AI takes that to the logical conclusion where essentially you can get a baseline high quality service provided via API for pretty much any job function. And what that means is the constraint to being an entrepreneur becomes the idea. The access to knowledge, access to resources basically becomes a software offering. And I think that's what's going to make it much easier and much more powerful for people with an idea to actually execute on it and to make it into a product. I think that I see humans taking on roles that are more akin to entrepreneurs today. So I think it'll be tremendous. AI will give tremendous leverage to entrepreneurial endeavors. In our industry, one example of an entrepreneur is a financial advisor. So these are people that are working with clients, they're providing personalized advice, and with AI, you can now scale that personalized experience, and rather than serving 100 people, you can serve 1,000, maybe 10,000 people. And so in the same way that it's optimizing what big companies like Robinhood can do with customer service and engineering, small independent advisors can now go from serving tens, maybe hundreds of customers with a highly personalized degree of service. With some of these new AI tools, they can go from serving hundreds to thousands or perhaps more. I think those that are actually conversant in managing the AIs and using them to accelerate their own work and execute upon their goals are going to have a huge advantage. In the same way that, if you were back in the 80s and you were an accountant and you were one of the first to actually use computers to do your accounting or your budgeting, it was a superpower. You had a huge advantage relative to everyone else. And then, of course, over time, not knowing and not using these tools becomes almost a disadvantage to you. It's almost a tax that you have to pay. I think in the same way, right now we're in the period where most people actually aren't very conversant with these tools. They don't know the best way to use them. It's still so new. And so the early people that actually achieve mastery have a huge leg up, probably for at least the next 2 to 3 years. Robinhood's adoption of AI has sort of gone through 3 phases. So the first is using AI to augment internal operations. So for example, you have a certain process, within one of the teams, engineering or customer service or even finance, and those folks are now using AI to accelerate the rate of their work. We started doing this about 3 years ago, using large language models, but to some degree we were doing it even before with more specialized things. The second stage is customer-facing co-pilots. So basically things that can enhance a customer's existing workflow. You've started to see some of these things roll out in the form of Robinhood Cortex, News Digests, Stock Digests, and Options Trade Builder, which we announced at our Gold event. I think the third stage is what I call autonomous financial agents. So you can think of this as AI performing the entire end-to-end process of what a sophisticated financial professional or a Wharton-trained expert would have been able to do. And I think we're doing some of those things in customer service and in other areas, but I think that's going to be the place where you see the biggest sort of like wow moments and experiences that really couldn't be delivered to the mass market because these financial professionals that have delivered them have been very costly, and so only the high net worth could have afforded them. I think that's going to change in the next few years with AI.